Sebster Slab just won a pack.
What up, everybody? All right, so we got nobody in here yet, but that ain't no damn problem, because I'm going to get started anyway. We on a schedule. All right. See where we at. I ain't even got no damn lights on in there. There we go. It's too damn light in this goddamn place. It's all right. We gonna make do. So where am I at right now? So this website is DnD Beyond. It's a really great tool, especially if you're new to playing D&D, right, in general. But even if you're a veteran in D&D, this thing is so much easier than carrying around your sheets and your dry erase boards, your dice, even though there is some nostalgia there, I'll admit there. But if you're playing online, because obviously COVID, this is actually a real good benefit for you. So here on D&D Beyond, you have so many resources available to you. One of those being the game rules. So if you want to dive into any of this information here, so a lot of the lore, you can really kind of get into it and see who's this player that I want to be. So right before we get into this, I want to kind of give you guys what my thought process was on trying to do this, because D&D for me has been something that I started when I was in 6th grade in history class. Our history teacher in 6th grade, Mr. Parisi, would let us play during our lunch period. And me, and I think it was about maybe 6 of us total, would get together and we had these great adventures. One of them is somebody I still play with to this day. When we reconnected in high school after he moved away, boom, we still have this. And we have so many great adventures, so much fun. One of the main benefits of doing it is you give yourself that kind of freedom of creativity, the imagination, to really just kind of play with whatever you want. At the end of the day, like I was saying, if the promo, if any of you guys saw that, it's your story, right? Your character, your sheet. No one can tell you you're wrong with this character, because even if they tried to stay true to lore and like only elves can act like this, or only goblins or kobolds are never brave, like there's the whole reason why they introduced this new piece where I'll show you of custom lineages to finally get those naysayers off your back, and you can play anybody you want. You can literally be yourself in this game with special abilities. And the other fun part too, and it's not a requirement, and I think a lot of people think it is that you don't have to do voices, right? You can just speak like your normal self. It doesn't matter. Me, on the other hand, I love to do voices, which is why being a dungeon master or a changeling is more my thing, because I can have a justification for different voices, different accents. And there's just that amount of characters, which you'll see. I got almost 300 characters in my backlog. The majority of them are like non-player controlled characters that I just decided to build a sheet for. So why don't we get into it? So when you get to D&D Beyond, you're going to go and you sign in using Google, Twitch, or I believe Apple ID. And once you do that, you have access to some basic stuff. A lot of they do have a subscription type of piece, but if you have a friend that has a shell and invites you to the shell, they're able to share the content that they've paid for across. So it's a really great way if you're a DM to kind of get your players into the mobile platform without them having to pay for anything if you've already done so already. And the same with anybody who's in the group who's just really an avid player and loves the content and uses digital format. They can share that with everyone else too. It's not just the DM that can do that. So we're going to say, hypothetically, you have to do a game tomorrow. I need a character right now. All right, so we're going to take that scenario first. And as you can see, I have 292. I have unlimited slots because I pay for that subscription. But normally, I think they cap you at 100 if you do the free. So all you do is you click Create Character. So the difference between standard, quick build, and randomized, don't do this to yourself. Especially if you're new, don't think this is the quick way. This is a quick way to screw yourself, is what this is. Even if you're a veteran player, we decided to do this one time for like a battle royale, and it was absolute and utter chaos. It was, nothing made sense. I swear I had a class that had like 5 multi-classes in it. It was absolutely ridiculous. None of the moves made sense, no synergy. Don't do this to yourself. Quick build is a create a first level character, so you might want to do this. This has the recommended starting options and all that, but I'm going to go through standard because we're all big boys and girls. So here with the name, don't worry about it. It could be whatever. You can change it anytime you want. It doesn't stay on it. They also have fantasy name generator plugged in here, so you can just randomize it. So I'm Jafinas, Jamfinas. All right, so with Jamfinas, you move here to sources. So what sources? Sources, homebrew means it's stuff that you guys made up, right? So if you are an avid gamer, hey, thanks for coming. So if you're an avid gamer and you have homebrew, what that means is, like, for example, if you're an anime player or, like I said, a gamer, and you wanted to play as Master Chief, hey, an anonymous cheer. What up, girl? You got here just in time, Sarah. Girl, I'm about to hook you up. This is actually you as the scenario. Hold on, let's see.
Sarah, I just want to say hi. Thank you for coming. Jacob, thank you for anonymously cheering. That was awesome of you.
So we're going to go ahead. So what this is basically, Sarah, if you had to make a character for your thing tomorrow, or if that's today, I think it's tomorrow, right? Remind me. Or maybe we got our things mixed up. But we're going to basically make one super easy that's anything you can take to the table. And if you have any questions, we'll handle them right now. So first things first, we'll just kind of recap real quick. We're at dndbeyond.com. All you need is a Google account. Starts in an hour. Oh, I got to be quick as hell. Do you have dndbeyond.com already? Or are you on paper? I need to know now. Sarah! Sarah! Is it on paper? Can you use this? All right, you got this. Okay, cool. Perfect. So here's what you're going to do. All right, so from D&D Beyond, you're going to go to collections. From collections, you're going to go to my characters. And then from my characters, you're going to click create a character. At which point, you'll be on this page with me if you want to follow along. Hey! Perfect. Let's go. All right, so hold on, Jacob. I think you might find these fun. Watch this. So these are all like different cards.
Extra slab just won a pack.
They got, so it's like, so you'd get these cards. What? Oh, whoops, it's not in my deck, that's why. So anyway, so you'd get those cards, and then there's like different things that I would have to do based on what card you played. So it's just like a fun little interactive thing. Okay, cool. So you're here, we created a name. Don't care about the name. Use a random name generator if you want, or use any name. You can make Sarah, right? At which point, you're gonna make sure homebrew's off, critical role is off. What this means is custom content. So like if you made a character from a video game like Kirby or something like that, and you made it a race, right? Then you would turn this on because it would fill the attributes from what you created. Critical Role is a YouTube channel with famous voice actors, absolutely phenomenal, very funny. But they were such great content creators that they got brought in with D&D Beyond, and they got to do that stuff, right? So now their content's on here. Magic the Gathering is for different backgrounds, so you're gonna want to turn that off more than likely. Obviously, you're not putting Rick and Morty and non-core. Everin content is legal unless you're playing league rules and you're only allowed one book. Then you need to make a decision on what book. But more than likely, casual game, that's not an issue. All right, so dice rolling you want to leave on, Sarah, unless you have your own dice that you want to roll in person. It's a lot easier, especially because it'll do the calculations for you. So I suggest doing this, especially if you're starting out. The optional class features and customize your origin. These are new features that they added, so you can ask your DM about these, but for the sake of this walkthrough, I'm gonna turn them on. Advancement type, again, this is based on your dungeon master, but more than like the way I like to run my games isn't by XP. I like to do it by milestone. So story-wise, if I feel like you've gotten to a certain point, I think that's a milestone, or I've already calculated as a milestone, I'll say, okay, you guys level up. So that's what this is talking about. Otherwise, when you're doing your character sheet, you'll have to type in the amount of XP, and then it'll fill up like a bar until it crosses over. Then it'll allow you to even do it, unless you force it, right? Hit point type, keep it at fixed more than likely, just to keep it simple. Again, we're not going to do the calculations, and then because each roll is different of dice and all that. So fixed, super easy, quick. We're going to be prerequisites for feats and multi-class more than likely. Leave those on. Show levels, you want to keep that on. You want to use encumbrance. What this is talking about like your character carrying a load, right? So their gear weighs, even the amount of gold you have. So that's what this is talking about, ignoring coin weight. So more than likely your DM has you ignoring this, because nobody's typically figuring that out, but the system would. The system would calculate based on how much money you have, physical coin. It'll do 50 coins that equal a pound. So that's how in-depth you can get with this if you wanted to make it that real, essentially. So you're going to want to do encumbrance, so this way you're not walking around ridiculous. And realistically, you still carry a crap ton. And then public or private, this is if you wanted to share your sheet with somebody who's not a DM and your character is not within a campaign shell, right? So if they're not saying, hey, put your character in here on this site, which I'll show you how to do later, you just keep it as public. So this way you can just send the link and they can look at the sheet and be able to review it and make sure everything's fine. So we'll keep this public. Once you're done with that, you can hit the right arrow for next. And now we're going to choose a race. So Sarah, you got about an hour. So you probably don't have time to read up on each of the lore that's going on here. But there's all these different races. And in these races, or there's races, not species, even though I think they should be species for the most part. You have these different pieces and each one has like different abilities, different things that they're good at, different things that they're naturally born with. So you have that. Depending on what character you want to make, you can manipulate this, but realistically, you picked Wood Elf. Okay, so I'm assuming you're sniping. Is that why you went Wood Elf? Or you just liked it? All right, so we'll do it too. We'll go Wood Elf. Okay. So with Wood Elf, you get a couple things. Okay. So +2 dexterity. What that means is when you go into like 3 steps from now, it's talking about your modifiers. Okay. So we'll discuss that. Just keep that in the back of your head, the +2 dexterity. Dark vision, definitely very important for a new player because the last thing you want to deal with is not being able to see when you're just with torchlight or it starts to get dark outside. Keen senses, Fey ancestry, and trance. These are those things that I'm talking about where it's race specific. So what these things are doing, or what they're saying, and each of the races is different, is like, this is the thing that's specific to Wood Elves. What is it they're specifically unique for? Okay. So you have keen senses, which is your proficiency with perception skill. They're naturally more perceptive. So we'll discuss where that bonus goes to. And that bonus actually grows with your character. So if perception is important to you, so perception is a skill that either innately, so you're just monitoring your surroundings automatically, or if you're trying to focus on something and see if you see it, like, what's that over there? Right? If you're trying to do that, that's perception. If you think that's important to your character, who you want to play as, you make sure you start to pick things that boost this skill, because no matter what level you are, you'll just get better at this automatically. You won't have to sacrifice anything to keep gaining skill in this or proficiency in this. Okay. So your Fey ancestry, this is where it's talking about you have advantage on saving throws. We'll get in. So saving throws, your DM will tell you what that is. So as a beginner, don't worry, because he will say, make a charisma saving throw, make a wisdom saving throw. And this is talking about being charmed. So if you ever have to make a charisma saving throw or any saving throw, and they say, oh, you're going to be charmed if you lose this, you have advantage. Advantage means you roll twice. So if you're using the dice roller on this, you'll see that it has it already set, and you can go boom and set it for advantage, and it'll automatically roll 2, and you take the highest roll. And magic can't put you to sleep. So if you're walking around and you're in a camp, Sarah, and your DM tries to say, oh, everyone falls asleep. Bullshit. Check them right there. Because magic can't put me to sleep. So unless they got sleeping dust or something like that, I ain't going to sleep. Okay? Tell him otherwise. Call me if he tells you otherwise. And then, so the last benefit for elves is that they don't have to sleep. So this is what trance is. They meditate deeply, and they only need 4 hours a day, which is actually really good. You need about half the rest time almost. Oh, wait, no, I lied. 4 hours is, yep, I lied. But anyway, you don't have to be, so like, for example, it's harder for them to surprise you because you're pretty much awake still. You're semi-conscious, but you're pretty much awake. Your wisdom score increases by 1, so that's it again for that modifier bonus. And the weapons training, this is just additional things that you're proficient with. What your character grew up, yeah, it does, right? So this is what your character knows how to use already. So going in the gate, not even having a specialization, they're just walking out in the city, knowing how to kick ass with a long sword, short bow, and long bow, right? So you can kind of think, where does this play into my story? Okay. I'm good at these things because, and you kind of add to your background with that. Okay. Fleet of foot, base walking speed is 35 feet, which is 5 feet more than the average bear. And then you have Mask of the Wild, which is you can attempt to hide whenever you're lightly obscured by foliage, heavy rain. So think about it this way, story-wise. You're on the side of a trail, or you're walking on a trail, and you decide, you know what, I kind of want to be a little sneaky. So you can just like kind of roll off to the side, right? And say, I'm going to try to hide. So so even though like you would like an average person, so like for example, any other race that is not a wood elf or an elf, they can't do this because it's too obvious. It's too it's going to be like Drax trying to hide behind a twig. If I don't move, you can't see me. Okay, that's anybody else but you. You could literally be, I won't move and you won't see me. Like that's what you have a chance of doing with this. Okay. So we're going to pick this race. So you have all this. This is just double checking and just explaining what you're having for this. These are the additional options we were talking about. So this is something they did to kind of open it up. So this way it's not so linear as far as what you can do. Okay. You don't have to worry about this. When you get into it and you want to make a character that is you 100% and whatever, then you'll go through here and start playing around. Okay. So after this, now you're going to pick a class. Do you have an idea what class you're going for, Sarah? Or do you want, like, what you're trying to look to do? Like, do you want to cast spells? Do you want to just, like, be able to kick ass and take a punch? Do you want to be kind of a little bit of mix of both? Able to defend yourself with melee or a sword? Or you want to be a sharpshooter and use spells as well? Like, which way are you thinking about going? And what level is your thing tonight?
Hey everybody who just came in, you're welcome to you. All this will be on YouTube, so this way you can catch what you missed.
Yeah. Okay, so you went with Ranger.
All right, you went with Ranger. Okay. So what level? I mean, Ranger's not a bad choice for a wood elf, that's for sure. I don't know. I've literally never played. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so they need to just tell you what level you are. So if it's level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., because it goes from 1 to 20. And depending on what level your character is, dictates how many options you have, right? Because you can either go 1 to 20 wholeheartedly as a ranger, or you can throw in a different class in between. So you can be a ranger that also happens to be a rogue, or a ranger and happens to also be a warlock. And if we want to go real crazy, honey, you could be, as long as you meet the prerequisites, you could be one of everything. So I wouldn't recommend it because you're not going to be able to do anything but kind of like pick your teeth with a toothpick, but that's about it. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But, you know, you got this. Yes, there are tons of options. So you know what? Let's try to figure out your character right now. Okay, so unless you already picked your spells and all that doohickeys, we can just say, what is it you want to accomplish? And then I'll tell you which class I would recommend for you. I think that's going to be the main thing. Because for somebody who's a first timer, I'm not sure I would throw in somebody who's kind of spell heavy. A ranger's a little bit of a mix because you will have spell options, and you can take a hit and take a punch, and you can also snipe if you wanted to. It just really depends on the character you're trying to be, how you want them to fight and behave, and this will kind of drive your decisions as far as what you're going to pick here. What about everybody else who's in here? What would you guys look to pick? What would you want to be? Do you want a brief description of each one, like what they kind of look like? Defensive then offensive. Okay. So defense over offense. You want to be somebody who kind of counters. So, I mean, there's fighters that can do that. Defense-wise, you can also mean support, which means like you want to kind of protect the team more than attacking an enemy or protecting yourself from an enemy, because realistically, there's ways to like boost to make it harder for them to hit you. But again, depending on what level it is, will tell you what's the better route to go for that. Protective but not aggressive. I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you can pull that off with a ranger. You can also get, I mean, you can pull that off with anybody, really. It's more so, do you want to use melee? So like deck them with a sword primarily, or you want to do a mix of that? You want to be able to shoot. So, you know, we'll just go with ranger still. Okay. So ranger has a couple benefits, especially from a role-playing perspective. Okay. But first things first, what your proficiencies are. Again, like being the wood elf, when you were looking at it, what are the things I'm good at because I took this job, if you're putting yourself in that realm. Okay. So if you want to do just melee, I mean, you can do this one and we'll pick the right subclass for you. Once you get, if you're above level 3, we can. Otherwise, barbarian might be a great choice if you're just looking to smack the hell out of somebody with like a great axe. If that's more your speed, then I'd probably go to barbarian. Then you won't have to worry about the spells. And just because you're barbarian doesn't mean you have to be dumb, right? So if you're not looking to play a dumb character, and you can still be sneaky. So it's really up to you. Do you want to? It's really if you want to use spells or not. That's your main thing. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam. All right. But while we're getting that, I'm going to keep going just for the sake of time, because I got to make sure you got something ready to go. Okay. So you got your light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons. What this is basically saying is like simple weapons is like you picked up a stick and you could smack someone with it, right? So that's quarterstaff. Whereas martial weapons is something that takes a little bit more finesse, a little bit more practice and training to know how to use, right? So that's what the martial weapons are. You have no tool proficiencies with just this class. Your saving throws. So remember before we were talking about, because you picked a wood elf, you would have that advantage on any charisma saving throw because that causes you to be charmed, or any saving throw that causes you to be charmed, right? Being this class means that your character, as they were doing their training or they decided to take this path in life, built up their strength and their dexterity. So they're really good at defending themselves from things that's going to force them to utilize strength to protect themselves or cause something to happen, like jumping really high and pulling themselves up, or dexterity, which is like trying to jump across a broken bridge, right? So your character is good at doing that from their training and going down this path. Then you have skills that you can choose. So these skills are, okay, based on my character, what are some things that they would have been doing, right, in their training that they would make them really good at it? So animal handling, I'm pretty sure you're going to pick that. Why? Animal handling means that the ranger went out and they got really close relationship with animals. It's easier for them to talk to them. It's easier for them to calm them down and bring into them and like just bring them more into a moment as opposed to like an aggressive frenzy. That's really what your animal handling is about. Okay. Or kind of like the situations you'll run into it for it. Then you have athletics. Athletics is, again, the physical aspect of it. Am I able to like easily chuck somebody up over a wall? Am I able to pull myself over a wall? If someone's trying to wrestle me, can I fight them off? That's what athletics will come in handy. Insight. Insight is like intuition. Like you're talking to somebody, okay? And you kind of got a feeling that they're lying to you. So you want to check them on that. You want to say, what's my intuition telling me? Can I read this person well enough to know if they're lying to me? That's what insight is. Investigation, escape room. Okay, just think escape room. I'm looking for shit. Am I going to be able to have that detail to get it? Nature, spending time in nature, spending time outside. The kind of checks that you could expect to see is like knowing if the vegetation's slightly off. Maybe somebody's been here kind of like, not necessarily tracking purposes. That might fall more in survival, but survival is also like withstanding the natural elements of things, right? So do you know how to stay warm? Do you know how to kind of bring your body temperature down if you're too hot? That kind of thing. That's what's there. Or can you survive without food? Can you scrounge for food? Can you go hunting? That's survival. And then stealth is like we were talking about with Drax behind a twig. Are you successfully going to be able to hide behind this twig or not? Because of you and the class that you picked as a wood elf, you have a shot at using this when you attempt to hide. This is what you want to marry it with. So I would say animal handling and stealth at least. So do you think you want to go with somebody who, when they're in social engagements, wants to read people better? Do you want to be able to wrestle somebody and hold them off, or even be the aggressor and try to pin someone, like grapple them so they're restrained and your party has an easier time hitting this person now? Okay. Or do you want to be Sherlock Holmes as best as possible? Nature or survival? Those will be your last ones to kind of choose. So again, it's depending on if you want to make your character. I usually promote making your character the best role play possible, because that's where you're going to do the most in D&D. You're going to be making stories with your character as your guide to some limitations, right? But personality and all that's you. That's what you want to put into the story, right? So I usually promote anything that's going to kind of help you with social engagements. Or if you think that, like, my character is not concerned about social engagements and he doesn't really, or she doesn't really mind whatever, so they don't, rather, sorry. And then you won't take insight, right? You're not going to promote points into this area. So that's the point there. So I think for my character or my ranger, I'm going to pick athletics, purely because I like being able to overcome obstacles. I sometimes like to use that in role play as well. So like challenging somebody to an arm wrestling contest, or if I want to try to make a scene in a place and aggressively flip a table without making a fool of myself. Oh, she's introverted. Interesting. Okay, so an introvert, I might say, if you have a conversation with your DM, and let's say you pick an urchin as a background. What an urchin means is like somebody who was like a street kid, and they were in an orphanage and all that, like super rough life, but loner type. But they can also be introverted. But the hermit is another introvert as well, but they're more kind of religiously secluded rather than like, I don't want to engage with people secluded. But survival might be an interesting one, or you could do athletics because she learned how to fend for herself when somebody crossed the line, and now suddenly she's not an introvert anymore. She's going to extrovert your ass out this house. You know what I mean? Or insight. Is she more keen to try to read people, right? So your favorite enemy. So what this means is your character, when they became a ranger, what is it? Yeah, the hermit. Okay. So for this means, what was the one creature that they were just obsessed about hunting, or they were able to hunt and they mastered tracking this thing, knowing what it likes, doesn't like, the terrain that it's on, for example, is one that you're comfortable with. So you'd want to kind of pick the two story-wise, but you don't have to. There are no limits in D&D necessarily, and nobody can tell you it doesn't make sense. It's your character. So this one is completely up to you. But if you want them to be somebody who hunts beasts, celestials, constructs are like the, if I had to think about it a different way, awakened mechanisms. If you ever saw Hellboy, for example, the Golden Army one, where those like dudes made out of gears basically spun up and all of a sudden they had blades and they were moving. That's constructs. That's what those are. Dragons. Elementals are like earth spirits, fire spirits, water spirits, that they're just like fully within that. I think spirit's like the easiest way to say it, but that's what elementals are essentially. Then you have fae, fairies, fiends, giants, humanoids, monstrosities, plants, and undead. So this is whichever one you feel makes more sense for your story. Typically, people go kind of hunter, so I'm going to pick beasts. And then this is just a language. So again, from a story perspective, why would I have learned this other language, right? What is it here? So is it that I'm naturally afraid of orcs, or orcs invaded my village and I started to get paranoid, and that's why I learned their language, so I could hear that. Like, it would ping in my ear, somebody speaking orc, and I understand, are they going to attack me, or are they friendly, or are they not, right? So that's kind of thoughts process that I put into when I create my characters. And then these are just all different races, essentially. So you have those options. Or you can do it from a friendly perspective, and you were a hermit for a while. You were going to say beast? Okay. So you could be like a hermit for a while, and for whatever reason, you made buddies with a dwarven tribe. And now you speak Dwarvish because you were hanging out with them for so long while you were learning to be a ranger, right? It's whatever your story wants to be. Be anything. Or same thing with giants. You could either be hunting them or have been in a thing with them. They adopted you because you were so little and cuddly, right? It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want. I'm going to pick Gnomish because it's fun. And then this is the natural explorer, right? So what terrain is it that my ranger was in this entire time? Where was it that like they felt the most comfortable? And you can make these 3 sync or not. Again, it's completely up to you. So for me, I'll say this person was in the grasslands, because nothing's funnier than hiding within blades of grass. Okay? So once you know what level you are, you just hit this button here, and then you'll see 1 through 20. What this means is not the overall character, it's the level within that class that you have that character. So what does that mean? So that means if I did level 4, now so I'm going to close these because we did these fields. But now I have all these new ones. Okay. So as you go up, you'll see that, okay, my character, when they got to level 2, they learned a fighting style. Okay. Are they good at archery? So you get a bonus to shooting bows and arrows, or I think it's any ranged attack. Let me see. Yeah, ranged weapons. So any ranged weapon. So if you wanted to use a sling or a crossbow, you'd get +2 bonus to all those attacks. Blind fighting. This one is new. So blind sight means if they decided to train with a blindfold, for example, and they've mastered being able to hear the sounds and track an enemy within 10 feet, they know exactly where they are. So if an invisible creature is coming to you, or if something's hidden and it's stealthily making its way to you behind you, like a Demogorgon from Stranger Things, you're able to know when they're within 10 feet of you. There's no hiding here. Defense. You get benefits. So you get 1 AC. AC means armor class. This is the number whoever's attacking you has to roll equal to or greater than in order to hit your character and do damage. Okay. So Druidic Warrior, this one is, you get to use 2 spells from the Druid spell list. Then you have your dueling, which is when you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons. You gain +2 bonus to your damage rolls. So that's like, your friend AJ isn't going to play with me anymore. Who's AJ? I don't understand. So when you're wielding a melee weapon, so for example, if you wanted to use a rapier, like short sword. Oh, get out of here! Get out of here! I don't need this hot garbage. Ref! Thanks, babe. Who are you people? That's great. So nice. What a pleasure. Okay, sorry. So I just noticed you probably got like 15 minutes. Too many sweats and bots on your team. Oh, what are you guys playing? Okay, sorry, Sarah. So I just realized the time, so I probably got to speed through this. Anyway, so we're gonna pick, because you want to be a melee fighter, I'm gonna say blind fighting. Okay. So these are the different, Rocket League, nice. So these are the different ranger archetypes, the subclasses. Okay, so you get this at 3rd level. So if you're at 3rd level, now it's like, okay, my person went and this is what they focused on in their craft. It's this. Okay. So you have Beastmaster, Fey Wanderer, Gloomstalker, Horizon Walker, Hunter, Monster Slayer, and Swarm Keeper. Because of what you're looking to do specifically, it's either going to be a Monster Slayer, because you will really punish somebody with melee damage with this. So you can focus your ire on one foe, increasing the harm you inflict on them. As a bonus action, you just designate one creature you can see within 60 feet of you as the target of this feature. The first time on each turn that you hit that target with a weapon attack, it takes an extra 6-sided die of damage. That's what 1d6 is, one 6-sided die. And that benefit lasts until you finish a short or long rest. And it ends early if you designate a different creature. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you can use it once before you have to rest again to use it again on a different creature. So save this for a boss fight, or if you and the party think you're going to go, right? So that's what this is talking about. Then you get, hey, thanks for following. I'll probably join you. So come on Tuesday. That's when I'm doing a viewer's choice of what I'll be playing. So if you guys want to play Rocket League that day, pop in and then we'll go play. So you got these things here as well, right? So your primary awareness to focus your awareness on the region around you. So for a minute per level of the spell you expend, you can sense whether the following creatures are present within 1 mile. So that helps a lot if, like, for example, if you're hunting something that's been troubling a village, right? You can use this to help hunt that thing down and find it. That's your job as a ranger, okay? So this is great for Monster Slayer if that's what you want her to be. Horizon Walker might be a fun one. Ah! I love that. So here, so with Horizon Walker, so again, this is only if you're level 3. In Horizon Walker, you get a specific set of spells, and then you can detect portals. So you can ask your DM, is there really like planetary travel across planes here? Okay. If there are, then this might be a class that's good for you because you'll have effect for your feature. If not, it's still fine because this character gets a lot of fun when it comes to combat. Okay. So the next time you hit a creature with a bonus action, so as a bonus action, choose a creature you see within 30 feet of you. The next time you hit that creature on its turn with a weapon attack, all damage dealt by the attack becomes force damage. So what that means is if you have somebody who has like thick skin or some type of armor that stops them from getting damaged to the fullest potential, so like they have resistance, okay, this is what's going to help overcome that because there's very few people who have resistances to force damage. So this person is basically going in and they're hitting them and it's like a big air pocket that's coming and smacking them with it, okay? So if you want that to be part of her story, and that's why she's very kind of a recluse, right? It's because she has like this force that's there and she learns how to use it or something like that. And that's kind of what you're building towards. Eventually, as you build this character, right? So you can hit available at higher levels and this will show you what you have to see in the future of this character. Okay, so you can use this for planning. If you want to switch to a different class with this character and have them learn something else as their story progresses, or you keep going, you see what you have to look forward to. So for example, they get at level 7, this is a fun one. You learn to step through the ethereal plane. As a bonus action, you can cast etherealness spell with this feature without using a spell slot, but the spell ends at the end of the current turn. So what that means is if you need to get the hell out of Dodge, you go to a completely different plane of existence and then pop. That's what this person gets to do. They're literally jumping through space-time if you had to think about it that way. So that's the Horizon Walker. So if you want to have fun that way, you can. And eventually in combat, it also helps because they can kind of jump in and out of portals and hit people, and up to 3 people, I think, when they get in the higher levels. So let's see. We'll pick the Monster Slayer just for ease, and we'll keep you at level 3 for that. Hey, Alexa.
Hi, Alexa.
All right, so this piece here, so at certain levels, so at 4th level, as a ranger, because different races that have different classes, sorry, have this at different places. Okay. So 4th level, you get an ability score increase. What is this? Oh no! Damn. We didn't get to your spells. Damn. I'm sorry. Anyway, your DM will tell you what you need to roll. Use this app and just hit the space here. Hold on. I'm going to jump to a character real quick just to show you what an existing one looks like before I help everybody else. So when you go to your character list, you just hit view and then you'll get the character sheet. All you have to do is hit the box, okay? And it'll roll the dice for you and do the math, okay? When he says make a saving throw, yeah, so when they say make a saving throw, Sarah, all you got to do is hit these areas here. So it's marked as saving throws, okay? If they say make a strength check, dexterity check, that's when you'll use these. Otherwise, you'll use this. Oh my God, I got a critical. So that's a 20. I don't know. Yeah, so this will do that. If you need to roll advantage, right click or disadvantage. So that means you're going to use 2 dice and take the lower total. 2 dice take the higher total. Okay, that's the difference between these. It'll automatically do that too. Hit roll and it'll roll the 2 dice for you and then tell you which one it came out with. So out of those, your thing is 23 with advantage. That's what this is saying. Oh, you can't see because my face is in my app. There you go. So that means that's where it is. So that's this. And then the same thing with your weapon attacks. Okay. If you hit, this is to hit. So if they say, okay, roll to hit, or you're like, okay, I'm going to try to hit this thing, you hit that box. And then if they say you're successful, roll your damage, that's when you'll do this section. Super easy. This is one of the best sites for beginners, and it's easy for people who've been playing for a long time because a lot of this gets pretty hectic when you're doing it on paper. All right, let me know how it goes. Let me know if you need help. Okay, I'll be on the line. 1-800-HELP-THAT-HOLE. It'll be good to go. I got you, girl. I got you. All right, so for everybody else, we're going to jump back. Numbers are sexy. Yeah, 293 now. All right, where'd he go? Modify latest. There we go. Oh, yeah. And then as far as the spells, read the descriptions. Again, this site makes it super easy. There's a spells tab. Just go there. It'll tell you exactly what to do. And again, you can just click the buttons and it'll do the math for you. Yes, character builder. So you'll get that if you're not done with your character. So since Sarah's leaving, I'm going to scrap the ranger because I hate that class. I'm kidding. I don't. I'm not kidding. All right. So I personally myself like to play monks. And that's because I like to pull Naruto shit and run up walls. So I'm going to be acrobatic. I'm going to be athletic. I'm going to be the freaking avatar, man. Let's see. Secret tunnel. Where is it? There we go. Loop. Screw it. Okay. So we'll say we're level 5. So for this, again, I'm going to pick my monastic tradition. What is it I got that this person went to the temple for? What did they study? Okay. So I have Way of Mercy, Shadow, Astral Self. These are like the specific Kung Fu styles, if you had to think about it in a different way, like how we relate it to today. That's what this is talking about. So you have the Long Death, which is personally somebody I made Pennywise, and I made him the Way of the Long Death, and that's because of this like epic move that they have at level 20. Sun Soul is about as close as you're going to get to a Super Saiyan. Open Hand, this is Bruce Lee. Okay, he'd one inch punch and then just drop you on your ass. That's Open Hand. Drunken Master is a lot of fun. I don't know if y'all are Jackie Chan fans. I am. This character is a lot of fun. The Astral Self is if you've ever seen the anime JoJo and the Bizarre Adventures. That's this. Okay. So what else can monks do that make them so amazing, so great? Deflect missiles. I mean, somebody shoots something at me, I got a chance to go catch that bug. Okay, that's why I like monks so much. Screw Neo. Neo just stopped the bullets. Okay, he's like, no, I'm catching that shit. Disrespecting you. Because then I can throw the shit back. How much fun is that? Are you kidding me? Why people don't pick monk is beyond me. Sarah upset me with ranger. Okay, anyway. The arms of actual self. So this is like, in this feature, what this is talking about is just like simply, I basically can summon like a spiritual thing outside of myself, at which point I can make strikes with that, get wisdom saves, all that fun stuff. All right. So ability score improvements. So this is also at level 4. What this is basically I can say my character really focused on their strength, their dexterity, their constitution, which is just like their well-being and their health, their wisdom, their intelligence, or their charisma. If I decide to do that, right, I have 2 options because you get 1 point per option and you can pick the same one, but you can only have up to 20 points dedicated to any certain category. Okay. The reason for that is that it caps out, and why you'd want to get it to 20 eventually as you build, if you decided your character was going to be heavily focused on that area and you want them to be as efficient as possible in any of their feats or their fighting styles, right? You're going to want to kind of amp up wisdom and dexterity for monk, or if it's a barbarian, you want to amp up their strength and constitution, things like that you'll kind of see. And I'll put the kind of recipe books together, at least what I've been using. So for him, we're going to go with wisdom, and then I can put 2 points in wisdom if I wanted. Or I can say, you know what? I want 1 in wisdom and 1 in dexterity. Okay? Because I kind of want to keep them balanced and go through that. Or I can completely scrap this and say, you know what? I'm going to take the bonuses that I have right now as a level 5 from my race, for example, right? Because combat's not going to be that difficult in lower levels. Combat gets more difficult in higher levels. Like when you got a deck of dragon, you got to roll better than 24. You want to get as many bonuses as possible into that thing. Otherwise, you're good to go. Just keep it simple. Do more role play in the beginning for sure, 100%. That's my recommendation. So one of those pieces that I like to do are feats. So a feat is some type of practice, something they did, something they focused on during this time when they leveled up, right? This is what specialization you're kind of giving them. Okay. So that's what this is. Each one of these things has their own description. So when you get kind of like overwhelmed by the amount of information, just try to keep it simple. Just look at the name of one that sounds like what kind of character you're trying to make. Okay. So most of these are pretty much related towards combat, but some of them are different, like actor, for example, or alert. They're not necessarily combat based. Okay. So you just take a look at these, see which ones you like. Lucky. Ooh, what's lucky? Lucky is you get 3 luck points. You get 3 lives like a cat. Okay. But you can use this to kind of change the outcome. So if you rolled and you rolled like crap and you rolled a natural 1, which means you're about to get punished for this horrible roll, you can use a luck point. And that luck point can hopefully save your ass because you'll roll again. Now, if you roll 2 1s, the dice gods betrayed you. Or they said, you know what, you got to take this L right here. Okay, that's what this is going to do. That's what's going to kind of help you. If you want to make somebody who's a wrestler, you have grappler, you have elven accuracy, which I could take because this character is an elf if I really wanted to, but I'm not really looking to shoot nothing. Wait a minute, let me see something. I'm gonna double check thumb. I'm gonna double check thumb here live on air. Whenever you have advantage on attack rolls using dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, you can reroll one of the dice once. So it actually doesn't even have to be a ranged attack. So being that I'm a monk, I am using dexterity, and I'm going to use this to increase it. So these bonuses I like because I kind of got the best of both worlds, right? So instead of choosing something that did 2 modifiers, right? So it gave me 2 points available to improve my character in those respects, which kind of rippled down to everything else. I said, no, I want to give myself a type of benefit in combat, and then I also want a point. That's what this did. And a bunch of them are like that, so just make sure to look at it. So then we got slow fall, to reduce the falling damage. I have an extra attack. So what that means is I get to attack twice now at level 5. So when I roll, I get to smack them. I get to try to smack them twice. Oh, I'm sorry, honey, not the microphone. And then stunning strike. So now I can stun somebody using a key point. Key point, think about it like sense of energy pool that you have, right? Able to hit somebody. Now we're going to go next. So this is the ability scores. From ability scores, you have 3 options in D&D Beyond, but you want to talk to your DM to see what route it is that they have you doing this, okay? So you have your standard array, right? So standard array is you only have one of each number. So you have to pick where you want to put these strategically. And this kind of makes things balanced. It can make it easier, and then you kind of see where they fall in. So we were talking before about keep that mental footnote of, oh yeah, I'm an elf. I get +2 to dexterity and +1 to wisdom, right? This is where you'll see them pop up. Is the racial bonus. See, okay, nothing in strength. Oh, but I got my +2 in dexterity because of the race. And then I got my +1 in wisdom from the race. Then I have a miscellaneous bonus. This bonus came from that feat we just took. So that's what this is. So you can kind of play around and see, all right, where can I try to maximize things? Because at different levels, these things go up. So at 18, for example, this would move to a +4. That means anytime I make a dexterity-based attack or a saving throw or a skill that utilizes dexterity, like stealth, for example, I'll use this number plus what I roll on the dice. That's what this is. So your law averages, your percentages, they just get better, obviously, as you increase this number to a maximum of 5 when you put this at 20. Okay? So another way is manual rolled. So this is you take your dice, you take 4 sets of D4, and this will do it for you. Okay? And you say, okay, I got, So this is what I rolled. So rolled 4, it doesn't re-roll ones. So typically your DM will allow you to re-roll a 1 because what you're going to do is take the best of the 4 and then add them together. So that's where we're getting 12. Then I say, okay, here's my next number. So now I got 16. I do it again. 13, 15, 10, and 14. So off the bat already, I'm doing better than I would have if I was doing standard. Because in standard, I went from 15 down to 8. Here, I don't have a single thing that would be in the negative. Okay, so what's the negative? So 10 puts you at 0. Okay, and 8 puts you at -1. So anytime I roll, now I'm taking away a number, or I'm taking away a point, essentially. Okay, so that's where your benefit is. But you have to ask your DM if you can roll, and then usually they ask for proof of what you rolled. And you also want to do the honor system. You're not supposed to keep rolling until you get the best thing. Okay, that's not what it's about. And if you are going to do that, then I say go to the point buy system. So in the point buy system, what this is going to do, it tells you have a pool of 27 points, okay? And you're going to say, all right, which one do I want to dedicate the most points to? What do I want to invest in? Because putting this at 15 is 9 points. So 9 from 27. Now I have 18 left to play with. So you can try to balance it. So 8 is free, for example. So if you don't care about a certain skill, you just throw it in the gutter, right? And you can go, let's say, all right, let's do 3. 3 to 15, and I got 3 and 8. I don't recommend this. 100% don't recommend this. But you can do it if you wanted to. It's your character at the end of the day, right? So this person here is going to be, basically, you can make this as a person that was like someone who studied on their own in the temple. They don't have really good health. They might be close to 600 years old if I'm an elf or whatever, and I want to make it ridiculous, right? So I'm old, but I still got my tendon strength, so I can still whoop your ass if I have to. So that's what this story is telling me, right, with the numbers. Normally, you want to go a little bit more balanced since I have the benefits here. If I want to get this to 18, so as close to max as possible. Again, what you're doing here is kind of selling yourself short from a perspective of having like more of a role-playing experience when you do this. So I'd probably say, let me do 13 here, 14, and then 10. Just this way I don't have no negatives. I don't like negatives. But I'm going to impact here, because with Constitution, you'd get this points in health and like free HP. Ooh, we got a raid. Thanks, Jacob.
Hello, everybody.
Whoop, wrong one. Oops.
Got it. There we go. Okay. So if your concern is about health and staying in the fight longer, you're going to want to dedicate some stuff to Constitution. Okay. Constitution's also like if you have somebody who you think like, oh, they can hold their liquor, or, you know, fewer more adult things and just having a little bit more stamina, you're going to want to have a higher Constitution, especially if you're a barbarian, for example. A lot of your things key off of this as well. So just play it that way, but we're going to move on. Now I'm going to pick my background. So again, each one of these has like a brief description as to what it means to be this. Probably later, buddy. So typically I go with sailors or shipwrights because I'm biased thanks to the Coast Guard. Aside from that, right, you have your City Watch investigator. And when we were talking about with Sarah, I recommended the urchin. So recommending the urchin because you'll get these proficiencies, sleight of hand and stealth. And based on her story of someone kind of being to themselves and being kind of like a recluse or an introvert, right? And she also said a hermit. But I like this idea because you can still be very much yourself, but a scrappy person. So you know how to handle yourself. You know how to survive in an urban environment, right? So maybe this would have come in handy for her, or at least from a story perspective, would have been fun to play off of. Sarah went with hermit. So this one is medicine and religion that they'd get. And then they'd have an herbalism kit, which has some benefits. Most DMs kind of right past this, so don't worry about that. But this is somebody who's lived a secluded life, basically. Okay, so they've either done it in a shelter community, like a monastery, as it says here, or just completely alone, so completely isolated. So they might lack social skills. So you could, if you wanted to, sacrifice your charisma points to get something higher elsewhere, and it completely makes sense story-wise. Up to you, what you want to do. And then languages, right? What makes sense? What in their background that I'm going to put in here is why they speak one of these other languages. So I'm going to say, I'm going to learn, no, wait, I'm not going to pick a hermit. No, I took that. I'm going to be a I'm going to be like JoJo. Okay, so I'm just going to be a regular Python. No, I'm going to be a noble. I just naturally had these things, and I come from a rich family. And I love to play with dice. My languages that I speak, because we're bougie, I had to go all out because I should be able to speak to gods, so I'm going to take Celestial. Thanks to my noble birth, people are inclined to think the best of you. You're welcome in high society, and people assume you have the right to be wherever you are, right? So no one questions where I'm at. I'm not going to say it, but we all thinking it. All right, so character details. So character details right here. This is where you want to think about the character you want to play and how they're going to react to certain situations. So what do I mean, right? This is like that save one person on the railroad versus 5 type of thing, right? Which way you're going to send the track? Is the life of one worth just as many as a 5, or are they both equal and you go, right? That's just kind of simple, like in a nutshell way of thinking about this part here, okay? So evil in D&D doesn't necessarily mean like you're the Joker because you picked evil. Unless you think of the Joker in a different way. I myself typically do play chaotic evil, hence the shite that none of y'all can see because of this microphone. And thank you, Jacob. So all evil means in D&D is based on the way that culture is set and society has dedicated or set the standards, right? What am I to that? Am I severely aligned to it and I 100% believe in it and that no deviation is allowed? Well, then you're lawful good. Or some deviations are allowed, but I still like to stick to what it's talking about, right? But I might look the other way a little bit sometimes. That's lawful neutral. Lawful evil is you have a code of ethics, right? Essentially. But like, so this has it as they methodically take what they want within the limits of a code of tradition, right? So, or loyalty or order. That is another way of thinking about it is society doesn't agree with the way that you like to do things and you're kind of aggressive. You could be like the Joker, right? You see it being this way, but you kind of have a rule set as to why you're doing it. If you don't have a rule set, that's when you go into the chaotic realm of things. So chaotic, neutral, CN, in other ways, what that means is you kind of just on a whim, based on how you're feeling, you'll go. And if someone was to review your actions, like at the pearly gates, they'd say, well, this was a good one, this was a bad one, this was an evil one, this was a good one, right? That's all that means. So as a new player, you'll have the most flexibility roleplay-wise going chaotic neutral. You won't be pigeonholed. Your character can develop as you play the game and as you get more comfortable interacting with everyone at your table or interacting with the DM and everybody who's within the towns or the setting that they gave you, okay? That's what you're looking at with that. So for new players, I recommend going that route. You get challenged a lot less as well because like if you're lawful good, you're pretty stuck on being lawful good. People will give you hell if you slightly deviate from something, and it's going to cause conflict, right? If you're really role-playing and you're lawful good and you have somebody who's a chaotic neutral character, okay, and they decide, yeah, you know what? We need to take this kid out of this orphanage. So now you're going into an act of kidnapping, but it might be in your eyes for a very good reason. He might be getting abused by the people and you thought this was the best compromise because your lawful good cleric, for example, won't let you take out the headmaster, right? So you're like, all right, well, I'm at least going to kidnap the kid and I'm going to save the kid and get him back to his family. That lawful good character should stop you, right? Unless they start to develop and go elsewhere. So as for chaotic good and chaotic evil, right? So this is like they're going where their conscience directs them. And then chaotic evil is the violent one. This is that kid who, or that person that goes through and starts smashing shit all the time for no apparent reason. They're absolutely wild. This will cause the most chaos in your campaign. And being a new player, I recommend you don't go in being a thorn in your party's ass. I 100% recommend you don't do that. Okay? Because now you're not going to have a good experience. Nobody's going to want to engage with your character, for example, unless everybody's kind of like this. Or you're a seasoned player and you know how to play around these things, or you know like when it's appropriate to kind of cause chaos and not cause chaos, or your character's not going to break the story for everyone. Because yes, it is your story, but it's your story mixed in with everyone else's that makes a masterpiece. Okay, you have to think of it that way. So for this sake, I'm going chaotic neutral. Faith is not a required field, but you can put what you want. I salute Dill Pickles because I wanted to. Lifestyle. What this means, if your DM is even doing it, most times it's not. So it's pretty simple. You can just look over it and then just kind of go with what your party's doing or what the story kind of directs. But this is your character and your background, right? What are they typically comfortable with, right? What is their living conditions? What is it that they do? Are they poor? Are they impoverished, right? Or do they live kind of like middle class, modest, comfortable, upper middle class, wealthy, well, and then aristocratic. So considering I'm a noble, I'm either going to go wealthy or aristocratic. So for me, I like doing these things because either A, I rebelled from that, or B, this is what I'm used to. So when I go adventuring with my party, I might not be the happiest of campers if the tavern looks like crap, or I'm going to be talking about it if I decided to make an arrogant, like really looking down my nose type of person, right? This is kind of feeding that aspect. This is feeding your personality. Your physical characteristics, hair, skin, eyes, weight, age, whatever you want it to be. That's what this is. Then you have your age and your gender. And again, none of these are required. Like, it's not going to stop you from making a sheet, but this is just this way you kind of get into who your character is if you found a screenshot online, for example, that you wanted to use and build the person off of, this is where you get to put those details so you just remember, right? Or you're going to describe it to your party. They know what they look like. So personality traits are fun. So these come from, these are like a pre-generated list based on whatever background you chose. So because we chose the noble, for example, these are the samples I'm getting. But in the beauty of D&D, I'm not stuck to this. These are just examples, okay? So I can use these just to be quick, and you can pick multiples if you wanted to like fill out a character or create internal conflict or whatever you wanted. Or you can just type your own, okay? So that's what this, so personality traits, as it flatters, makes everyone I've talked to feel like I'm the most wonderful, important person in the world to talk to. Yup, I'm shining, bitches. So I'm picking that one. Ideals. What are my ideals? Am I respectful, responsible, independent? Do I crave power? I'm gonna say. So what these do in the parentheses, they kind of tell you like alignment-wise, if like a cheat sheet, what the intent is behind some of these choices, right? And this kind of helps paint that picture of what we were talking about before, right? So responsible is my duty to respect the authority and those above me. That's not my guy. Independent, I must prove that I can handle myself. Boom, that's it. I'm rebelling against mommy and daddy and screw their money, I can handle it. But God, this tavern's horrible. Then you have bonds. What is it that my character's like really attached to? What is it that he loves? What is it that he's out there fighting for, right? So my loyalty is sovereign and unwavering. Common folk must see me as a hero of the people. That's what it is. I don't want it to be by my father's name anymore. I want it to be by my mine, damn it. Now, what are my character's flaws? Okay, so just like in like beautiful Greek literature, every character has a heroic flaw. What is it that potentially your DM can use that's going to be a trigger for you to bring your character into that space and now have conflict? Because again, in role play, it just gets boring if everything's up here. You got to bring them down sometimes. So let's see. Carnal pleasures. Sorry, children. I'm not going to explain what that is, but my character has an addiction to the later. All right, so we're going to go to organizations. These are just like additional side notes that you can put. Being at level 5 and being a new person, you more than likely will not have this, but what you should have is your backstory. This is where you get to do your creative writing assignment that we've been building the sheet this entire time for. Put all of that thought you put into this character, you put it right here. Okay. So the tragic start of when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. That's when he said I could only accomplish clearing my plate and nothing more. Screw you, Dad. There we go. So with this, I'm kind of playing with the fact that I'm have some conflict with my family. I'm very used to money, but I don't want to be. And why I ended up in the monkhood. This is super basic. I normally write a full-on essay because I have so much fun thinking all these different characters. A lot of time I make them as characters that I don't play in a campaign, but I play them as people that are living in the world that I'm creating. So when my friends come through and they're going through my world that I made for them, I have all these different characters ready to go and they're fully fleshed out. So that's what this is. All right. And the next spot, you have the fun part. This is shopping. So we have equipment. So you can choose equipment or gold. Gold is your GM or your DM, sorry, your dungeon master is going to say, okay, you're going to be able to go to a shop beforehand, right? And then at that point, you can buy whatever you want based on what this starting gold is. And there's a pricing sheet and all that they have that's also available to you to see inside the rules book, okay? But to keep it simple, to keep it simple, we're going to go with equipment, okay? So this is the stuff that that they can't argue with what you're starting with. So we're going to do a short sword or any simple weapon. So because I'm a monk, all right, most likely going to be using my fists more than anything because I chose the route that I chose. And I already have darts. So I think what I'm going to do... Why you got to bring up the damn humidity? It's been fine. It's been great. Casper loves it. Think of Casper, hon. I'm going to go with a short sword. No matter what I hit him with, it's that. But one of the great parts about D&D that like kind of people sleep on, this short sword can look any way I want it to look. Okay? So if it is my father's sword and it has it's shaped like a dragon's head, doesn't matter. I just explain to people, this is my short sword. This is what it looks like. This is my story that I'm telling, right? It's bejeweled. Means nothing to anybody else. The damage is still the same and it's still a short sword. Okay? That's what that is. And that's the beauty of D&D. So as a noble starting, I also get a set of fine clothes because I have to go to dinner, and present myself. People know my face still. And a signet ring, a scroll of pedigree, and a price containing 25 gold pieces. All you do is simply hit add equipment. Yeah, I know. No, there is a big difference. Granted, when I was in Tempe, that like thickness in the air from the heat of like walking into an oven was the same for me. Probably give her like a week and then maybe ask her again. Because it took me about a week to adjust when I got back too. It definitely did. And I got my god dang asthma now. It's horrible. All right. So from here in your current inventory, you're going to want to hit wield and wield for the things that you're going to actively have equipped on your character. Okay, what do I mean by equipped, in case you don't know? It means that it's not just stored in my backpack. It's actually active on my person that I can easily whip it out and fight if I have to. That's what wielding it means. It doesn't mean it's constantly in your hand. In this respect, this just means getting it into that attack column. It's all good, LJ. It's all good, baby. I'm recording it. We good. We good. God, I hope I'm recording it. Oh no. All right. So personal possessions. I got my scroll pedigree. That's where you see that. And then if you wanted to add items based on whatever custom game thing you're playing, this is where you can kind of go searching. Being a new player, this is kind of like an easier way to me to kind of read through everything because it just naturally filters it versus the other things, especially if you're thinking about like, oh, I'm going to play a monk. What is it there? It'll automatically tell you at least what you're proficient in. So it takes away all the other nonsense that you can't use even if you wanted to. So that's what this section here is for. So the last part is actually viewing your character sheet. Let's see our little monstrosity we made. So we got the Wood Elf, Monk, Jim Finest than the Diners. Okay. So like I was showing Sarah briefly, all right, is that if you are told, that would be another. So essentially, you have your different sections in the sheet. So we're going to go through that really quick. So the modifiers that we did, your strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. All right. All those are going to be listed up here on your sheet. This number here was that big one that we were building towards using the ability modifiers and the racial feats that we're adding to that, right? That's this total here. When you're rolling the dice, what you're going to be using is this box here if you have to make that specific check. So what do I mean? Use this sheet as best as you can with the context clues your DM gives you. That's going to be the easiest way to smooth out the game. Okay. So if they say, I need you to roll a saving throw, you're in this section. You just click these boxes here. It already did everything for you. If you're in a regular sheet or whatever, you would have filled in these boxes anyway. But what you would have done Okay. So you see this dot here? It means you're proficient. So it means your character specialized in this while they were doing their training. Okay. So in doing that, they get this bonus here, the proficiency, right? So that bonus here comes from your overall character's level. So we're level 5. At level 5, everyone across the board, no matter what class they are, has this proficiency. Okay. From there, you take that and then you add it to the respective modifier. So that's why you see strength as a +3, because it's 3 + 0, and then 7 because it's 4 + 3. Okay. So that's why this is there and why it looks like that. If there's nothing to add, it's whatever the base number is. Okay. So from your skills, like we were talking about, like as far as doing the story wise and creating the character based on what things they'd be good at, what I can use this for from a role-playing perspective or a combat perspective, that's where these, again, same thing, just like your saving throw, they get the base number plus whatever your proficiency is at that level, and it goes in here. If you want a special tidbit, if you're a bard or you're a rogue, you get something called expertise. Expertise means you get 2 times the proficiency for whatever skill you said they're proficient in. So what did that mean? That means I would get +6. Okay, I would get +6 plus my base. So if I wanted to be an expert as a rogue in acrobatics, it'd be 4 + 6, put me at 10. So off the bat, instead of I just gained +3 over here, right? Going good to go. At level 5, yeah, do you need to go all in? Probably not. Again, focus more on your story, focus more on your role play, and you can kind of go from there. Okay. Then you have your base scores. So remember what I was talking around as far as perception, right? So do I want to have somebody who's actively aware of their surroundings, or they're kind of focused on that part, or they really want to be able to perceive something from far away? That's what this is talking about here. So your passive perception is it just being local around you. You're not hyper focused on it, but you have some kind of awareness, right? 15 is actually pretty good on an awareness perspective. Investigation is passive, is 12. And then your gut instinct, your natural gut instinct that would just hit you in the middle of a conversation, that's what that number is, okay? Now, if you wanted to actively use it, right? So if I want to say, okay, I'm really trying to see something on that person. Like, is there a jewel on their keychain, or is a symbol on their keychain that says that they're part of this gang or this guild or whatever, right? Then you're going to go into this skills area. Okay, and then that's where you're gonna go to perception, and then you're gonna roll your +5. So then you roll a D20. Oh no! So I got a +10, right? So that's what happened there. This is why DnD hates me. It's fine. That's why I like to play DM, because it gives everyone else a chance. But that's the point. You'd go there. Same thing with investigation. If you want to actively look for something, you're gonna go into skills and roll your investigation. And these dots, again, are talking about proficiency. So the thing that your character hyper-focused on during their training or during their experience in life, this is where this is coming from. So proficiencies down here. Remember, we had the long bow, long sword, short sword, and the simple weapons that mostly came from the elvish side of things. And then you have languages and your armor, which you would be proficient in with the ranger, which you had was medium armor and light armor, I believe. Those would have been popped up here. Aside from that, when it comes to the fighting side, make it super easy again, because now you have you can do all and just scroll down, or you can section it out and say, okay, I'm in my attack turn. What are the things I can do? Okay, I don't want to be overwhelmed with all this information. So I suggest hitting those tabs, right? So you hit attack, you go, all right, so I'm going to throw my dart, which as a monk, I can say it's a kunai, a shuriken, whatever, ninja star for those who don't know. And then I hit +7, it tells me what I rolled. Your DM will tell you, did it hit or not, okay? Aside from that, you have some additional things that you can do. So you have your bonus actions and your reactions. And then if you want to filter more, you can just say specifically, okay, what action? So these are attacks, the things that you go to attack somebody with, either action or bonus action. This separates it further. A reaction. So reaction, easiest way to kind of think about it, is essentially your character already had their move or they're focused on something else. And so like they're already engaged in combat and someone tries to move out of the way and they notice it, like corner of their eye. You can use your reaction to try to hit that person, right? As they try to get away. That's one example of a reaction. Other times you'll be prompted. It'll tell you, oh, you can use your reaction to do this. That's where you'll see these things fill in. So example, like I said, when as a monk, somebody's shooting something at me, I really wanted that beef thing to go and catch it, like full on disrespectful, right? That's 100% what I wanted, right? So I can use my reaction to do that. Now, if somebody, so let's say I have a 2-on-1, someone shoots at me, I use my reaction to catch that, right? So now if the person in front of me leaves and just runs away, I can't do anything about it because I already used my reaction. You only get one in a turn. So that's the thing to think about strategically when you're in combat, okay? Do I want to use this reaction right now? Should I try to take the hit? Do I think this guy's going to run away? There's kind of fun things, but that'll be your limits or things there because there's ways for people to get away regardless. So you have your choices. Aside from that, you have your others. So this is the key points, like that energy reserve that I was talking about when it comes to monks. They have a nice little feature here that you can click. So this way you can keep count of how many you used and if you have any. And then it'll also tell you how you recharge it, right? So it's a short rest, that hour break, right? Or sorry, 30 minutes of rest or meditating. Sorry, that's a short, 4 hours long. Then you have your Mask of the Wild again, based on you got that from your race. And then the Stunning Strike, which is the one we got at level 5 or level 4. If you have any defenses or active conditions, we'll talk about that later, but defenses and conditions are up here. So if you have resistances, immunities, or vulnerabilities, they'll pop up in this section. So some races, for example, are immune to poison. Some of them are resistant to poison. It'll be here and it'll tell you what that means. So you always have the reference point. Again, there's very little you have to really memorize. It's just a matter of knowing the sections so you can keep the game moving smoothly, not hold up your table. Because I think that's really everyone's main concern when they're new going into a game is, oh my God, I'm going to hold up the table. Most times, if you're with the right crew, they're going to be helping you along, right? But there's some easier ways to kind of speed past that. If you ever need to remember what's in your inventory or modify it, you just go to Inventory tab. You have your full thing here. So you have your backpack, you have your equipment, which is like the stuff that we have attached over there. That's what this mark is here for. And attunements is something a little bit more advanced than what you're at right now, but for sake of knowing it, it's on the sheet. Attunement just means you have some special gear that is special to you. It is tied to your soul or whatever the hell, if you had to think about it that way. And it gave you the rights to use all of its benefits and its power. That's attunement. Okay? And then again, my other possessions, which is my scroll of pedigree. So prove that I'm a full-born pony. Okay? And then if you ever want to look at what your features are and double check them, because there are ones that aren't attack-based, right? And there's no other section here on the sheet for these to go. But if you want to remember what are some of the things that you can activate, what are some of the things that you can use, just go to your features and traits. You can filter it by class features, racial traits. So like, for example, if for some reason you didn't see that you had dark vision. That's the bottom of the sheet. Sorry. But you'll see it here. So dark vision right there. You should also see it, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere else in the sheet. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping, LJ. You tell me. I could have sworn dark vision popped up somewhere in one of these things, and maybe I'm just not seeing it. But either way, you have it here, so no one can argue with you and say, oh, you can't see in 60 feet. And yes, I can. It's right here, dark vision. Boom. Right in your face. Also, if anyone ever questions, oh, why do you have proficiency in perception? Well, I got it from here, keen senses. It's just a check. And just go through that. All right. And then feats was like the elven accuracy that we chose instead of taking an ability score increase. It'll pop up in here. All the ones that you pick, they'll be here. You can also manage them from here. So you can add some. So for example, if your DM lets you go ahead and say, okay, you did some extra training or whatever, You worked with this person. I'm going to grant you all the alert feat. You just hit add. Now you got it. Right? So those are some of the benefits. If you forget your description, or not forget your description, you want to read off of it, you can come here. This is also where your appearance details would be, your bond, your ideals. So your role-playing aspect, this is a great tab to kind of come and refer to. I also recommend having your notes tab available as you guys are kind of like walking around and stuff, because this is where you're going to say, okay, if there's like an enemy that we need to pay attention for, I'm going to type their name here. Claude. Je m'appelle Claude. I don't even know if I spelled it right, but that guy spelled his name Cloud. Allies. Bob. So this will help you kind of keep track of stuff. So as you're engaging in your role play, right, you can say, oh, Bob, oh my God, we ran into Bob. I know he's a friend. I can talk to him about stuff. Or Claude. You see somebody talking about Claude. I'm like, oh no, I better shut up. Oh, I love Claude. Claude's the best. Woo! Right? This is where you can kind of play. How's my character going to react when they hear this name that they've remembered and they know is an enemy, or they know is an ally, or they know it's an organization, right? So you're part of an organization. You're going to represent yourself, and I'm part of Dad's softball team, right? So anytime I go to a place and if I see members of Dad's softball team, right? Well, I'm already one of them. I have my badge, I have my insignia. I have
do it! Make your dreams come true!
That one I was not expecting. that one caught me off. But yeah, so that's what you'd use the section for. And then other is whatever other side notes. So if it's not related to your backstory, but it's related to the ongoing story that you have that you're creating right now with your friends, that's where you'd put it. You put all your notes in there. And then lastly, you have your extras. You won't be using this as a you won't be using this as a standard kind of like regular easy person, unless you decided to go like Druid, for example. This is a great place to go and say, okay, or as Sarah did, a Ranger, you say, okay, Beast Companion, right? And then you can say the challenge rating, which the description will tell you what they can go up to. So we'll say 0 to a quarter. Yeah, real fun. Okay? So you can pick whatever one you want. You'll get the stats, right? So yeah, I'll have a cultist. Why not? I don't know. My character doesn't make any sense, which is fine. It's wrong they call the cultist the Beast Companion, but it's all good. So some of the things that might be wrong, these are the kind of conversations you'd want to have with your DM. Just say, hey, listen, I'm looking to have this as a Beast Companion. What do you think? Does it make sense in the world? Does it make sense in the lore that you have?
Get out of the pool! Everyone get out of the pool! That's not a shark.
All right, so you got your cultist, whatever, right? All right, so then the last piece you have, when you get into combat, okay? That's what this box is. Your DM's favorite phrase is gonna say, roll initiative. Initiative means your character's response time to getting into a fight, okay? How ready are they able to react to the fact that now I'm in conflict? That's what this is talking about, okay? So if that's important to you, you might want to dedicate points towards dexterity because that feeds this. The alert feat also feeds this, right? If that's important to you. You want to try to go first in a fight or whatever, fine, initiative. Being a newbie, probably want to sit back a little bit more as best you can and let the dice hopefully be on your side and not put you first anyway with like a nat 20 and everyone else rolls like crap, right? But that's what this would be here for. You hit the +9. Typical me, I always fall right in the middle, okay? So that's what that's for. And okay, well, let's simulate combat in our last 20 minutes together on this. So we get into combat. We're going through, it's my turn. I'll say, okay, I have 2 attacks. So I'm going to use my action to attack. What? Rip. Oh, damn it, Alexa. So I rolled 23. That's the best I've ever rolled, damn it. I don't roll like this normally, especially at a level 5. Oh, this is bullshit. Anyway, so you have this. All right, now that means more than likely I hit definitely at level 5. I would hit, now I'm going to roll my damage. Okay, so this.
Just do it!
I did do it.
Make your
Wow,
dreams
look at this.
come true!
Repeat and repeat. 8 and 8. So now I just did 16 points of damage to whatever character. Okay. So within the phase, so I had an action that I can take. Now I have a bonus action I can take. So on my bonus action, I'm just going to go here, right? So this website is called DnD Beyond. So I'll send it dndbeyond.com. So if you're going to hop into it, let me know. I'll send you an invite so you can go into a shell, and then that'll give you access to all the materials that are out there that I've purchased, which is pretty much everything that has to do with character creation, because I make my own worlds. I don't use their stuff. So from this point, so now I decided to go, all right, I give him a left punch and then a right punch. What are my bonus actions? So Flurry of Blows is another 2 hits that I can do. Right, and then it gives you a description here. So in attack action, you can spend 1 key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. So like, for example, it was right punch, left punch, kick, kick, right? As a monk, that's what I get to do. Another is patient defense. So this is using that energy pool, right? Or I can just make an unarmed strike, right? Just straight up, just 1 kick, hit them, don't waste nothing, but I used that. I can also summon and do that. So as a bonus action, I can spend a key point to summon my astral arms. So now I can use them the next round, right? Another key thing to remember, you don't have to do a bonus action second. You can do your bonus action first. That's one of the things. So the way to think about that and wrap your head around it, okay? A bonus action is simply a quicker action that you're performing. Then your action is the one that's really going to take your most time, because each round, so round means everyone goes, right? Everyone has a turn, takes 6 seconds. So in real time, it's 6 seconds of time that passed. So these people are making these micro movements, and that's how you have to think that they're going. So they're moving 45 feet within those 6 seconds and throwing 4 punches straight out. So this is like I love it. Okay, so that's the combat aspect of it. And that's your bonus actions. Some other classes, you're able to hide, for example. So like a rogue, and I think, I have to double check it. I think maybe a ranger can, but you're able to bonus action hide, right? So you can do that first, and now you have an advantage because like a sniper, you're hiding, and then send it. Now you have advantage on that attack. So that's an example of why sometimes you might want to do your bonus action first. Yeah, I didn't think they could. But is it a combination with something? I don't know. Basically, your bread and butter as a rogue is hide, shoot, whatever, right? That's an example of using a bonus action first versus that. Or if you're a paladin and you have a bonus action spell, you should be able to launch it as well. Again, being newbies, I don't recommend spell casting first thing because there's additional rules to that. I think kind of get your feel of the sheet first, and your real feel of the sheet is going to mostly be delving around, at least at a minimum, role play and melee combat. If you want to go into the spell side, granted, of course, I picked a class that doesn't have spells, but I can easily find one just to show you what that looks like. So let's see, who do I got? Fucking 293. All right, I got my wizard. I don't even think I picked spells for him yet. There we go. All right, so then you get this spell slot. Okay. So from the spell slot, again, just like your attack tab, if it's to hit, you have the box there, so you can click it. There's no math. Another thing you have is this DC. Okay. So what that means is that they'd have to roll this number or better to not take the effects or only take half the effects, right? Again, the rules will differ based on characters. Some have abilities to just completely negate that, right? Whatever. Happy path. They have to roll this or better to not get impacted by your spell. That's what this number is. So your modifier is going to be based on whatever your spell casting ability is. So for a paladin, it's charisma. So I put my points into charisma. It's here. So that's my +5 and my proficiency. And then I have another item that gave me an extra +1, and that's why this is 12. Okay. My spell attack, that's where it's getting this from. And then my spell save DC, which is everything calculated, gets me there. Okay. So I can go along. And then if you click one, you can read its description. I'm going to warn you, some of these have pretty long descriptions. So you want to make sure you pull these out, especially with some of your feats as well. So you see how this is just like the first paragraph? You want to take this out so you get the full description. One, you're not going to cheat yourself.
Make your dreams come true.
So one, you're not just going to run into things and forget things. You're not going to gyp yourself for what an ability can truly do. Or you can kind of have that conversation with your DM and say, well, look, this is what it says. This is what I'm trying to do, because not everything in D&D is clear cut. So you can present it to your DM. Being the new person, at the end of the day, it's kind of their realm to control. So if the physics are a little different and that's the justification for what they're doing, or why they made a certain decision based on what you're trying to do with this spell versus what they think it can actually do, right? At the end of the day, it's either house rules, which is everyone agreed on it, or the DM's call, and you have to respect it. Number one, especially as a new player, respect the decision. All right, so back to spells. So with your spells, you have these different benefits. It can show you where the source page is if you want to read more about it. Don't know why you do that if you have everything here available to you. And it tells you the casting time. So you have a casting time of 1 action on this one. One of those special rules about spell casting is that you can't cast 2 spells of a spell slot or greater within 1 turn. So what am I talking about? So you have cantrip that's here, 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd level, right? So even though some of these things might be a bonus action, so ensnaring strike, for example, is a bonus action, whereas in melee, I'm able to make a melee attack as my regular action, and as a monk, I was able to make an unarmed strike as a bonus action, right? There's no limits there. With spells, there are. So if I'm using this 1st level spell as a bonus action, I can't use any other level spell in that turn, but I can use a cantrip. So with my paladin, I gave him Eldritch Blast, which is basically D&D's version of a paintball gun, because it's a hell of a paintball gun, but effectively it is like you just shooting it, just meow, meow, meow. It's a freebie, right? You're just sending it out, but it takes an action. So I could combine those two to amp myself up. So if someone's far away and I decide, you know what, I'm going to amp up if they get close or they're thinking about it, I'm going to use whatever bonus action one that I have and have that amped and ready to go. But I'm going to try to blast them with this for right now, just so I can get some damage down the board. Oh, baby. And I hit them good. So if you notice, and it's probably pretty quick, if you roll a 20, you do double the damage. So it's not double the overall damage, it's double the dice. Let me clarify. So with this, for example, now it's 2d10. It went from 1d10, so it just went back, to 2d10. So now I did a total 12 damage because I rolled a critical. That's what they're talking about. In other things, so for example, if I was to roll a critical, if I was to roll a critical on a melee attack, I wouldn't double this 5. I would just double the dice. So it'd be 2d8 plus 5, not 2d8 plus 10. That's a big distinction. And that's pretty much your crash course in D&D. Aside from that, again, if you're going to use a spellcaster, really try to go through a little bit more. Make sure, I like to personally make sure my spells make sense for the character that I'm making. So how does this spell kind of feed into their story? Why would they look for this? Are they mostly a defensive person? Are they mostly an offensive person? What other things can I do with this? Can I do something in role play, for example? Is this solely an attack-based item, right? Those are the kind of questions to ask yourself, or I ask myself, while I'm picking my spells and I'm going through it. Even, and honestly, it's been to my own detriment in doing battle royales. I will still follow that method, and I'll have spells in here that do not benefit me in any capacity in a freaking combat scenario. Because granted, I'm going to die in 2 turns anyway. But that's what I do, because I wholeheartedly believe in the encompassing of an entire character and having my pieces be that way. But your character is your character. You don't even have to have a reason as to why your character is the way that they are. They just felt like it, right? That's your justification. So I hope within these quick 2 hours, you manage to see that it's not as scary to do, especially when you have a tool like this that's available to you. Okay. It really simplifies it. You just kind of have to learn the sheet. And if you guys need any help, just let me know. I'm going to be posting the videos and the segments up on YouTube. I'll probably do a few new ones, so there's less sound effects going on and all that. But I'll piece these apart and I'll go more in depth on the different classes that you do, the different combinations that you can do, my thought process on some of the ones that I've created just for schnitz and giggles, and that's why there's 293 of them. And then I might even do voices or whatever with those. So with that, is there any other questions possibly from the 3 y'all that hung around? Alexa, are you in the site? Maybe I'll send you an invite. Oh, here's a fun thing. That's new. I think it's new. Maybe I didn't realize it last time. Because they're constantly changing the site too. This is such a benefit to new and veteran players, honestly. Because this already tells you I have disadvantage. And I have disadvantage because of my armor that I'm wearing. So I'm wearing chainmail, I have disadvantage on stealth checks. What's weird is that it doesn't automatically do the disadvantage. So remember, if that's the case, right click, disadvantage, and then roll. And now I find which one. Oh man, I rolled twins, baby! Where are these rolls when I'm actually playing? Where are these rolls when I'm actually playing? Damn it! I don't ever have this kind of luck. Shit! My God! I don't get none of this damn love in actual games. That'll be the other thing I'll teach you too. Online, I'll teach you how to use... Yeah, exactly, dude. Holy shit. But I'll also do videos on how to use Roll20, and I'll do it from the DM's perspective as well as the player's perspective. Main thing is, let's grow the online community for D&D and show people that it's not as daunting and it's not as scary. More importantly,
Just have fun! Oh my god, yes! Just have so much fun. Please, just do it.
just do it. Damie, I will be seeing you in a couple hours. I went and ate my damn tacos in the 5 minutes of cooldown time that I had because the oven decided to not preheat like it normally does in its time. But I'll see you in 2 hours to play something. And then we'll go from there. So tomorrow I will also be streaming. And the segment for tomorrow, don't think I was doing commentary. What did I say I was going to do? Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to pull up my schedule. Let's see. What are we doing tomorrow? I forgot because Tuesday is viewer's choice. God?
Apparently, Chris Bosch.
I don't care about Chris. Oh, shut up. Let's see. Where we got? Where am I at? I'm doing something. I promise. No, that's wrong. Oh, no. No. Where's my damn... What the hell's happening? Where's my schedule? Why are you messing with me? What the hell is this? Back to Twitch.
Search department on this one. That was
Back
good.
to my damn
That's
channel.
A crazy stat, and you all should use that every year in the.
Oh, shut up. Don't care. Eventually, I will find my schedule and let y'all know what the hell it is I said I was doing tomorrow. Because I'm not allowed to find my schedule right now. We should turn on the bathroom. Yeah, right. I wish, dude. Luckily, it was tacos that were safe for me. Made them at home. Bathroom fan don't save me for shit, though. Let me tell you. Damn, dude. Why can't I get to my freaking page like normal? That's so weird. That's so weird. Oh, well. I'm doing something tomorrow. That was my schedule. Oh, well. Y'all ain't got to worry about it. I'll figure it out. We'll be good to go. Tune in tomorrow. I'll put a post up. Have a good night, and thanks for hanging out. Bye.